Welcome to another Friday edition of Taking It to the Nub. I'm your host, Boston Jimmie, and tonight we're going across the pond. I'm going to bring in Si Sweeney. Many of you know Si, great brother of the leaf, great Irishman. He is the Irishman, and he's also the ambassador, one of the ambassadors for Light 'em Up Go. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about other things because this man is into some serious bodybuilding, especially in the judging of competitions. And we're going to talk about that too. So let's go. Before we do that, let's just take a short commercial break, and then we'll bring Si right in.
And today's show is brought to you by Casa Cuevas Cigars. In the 19th century, Juan Cuevas, Spanish immigrant from Santander, began what was to be a family business which now spans 4 generations. Like others fortunate enough to live and work in Pinar del Rio province of Cuba, Juan commenced cultivating tobacco, turning it into a successful business. Following in his father's footsteps, his son Juan Jr. continued with the family business, successfully expanding it until events which took place in 1959 forced a dramatic change. Years later, in the Ciabo Valley of the Dominican Republic, Luis Cuevas Sr., Juan Jr.'s son, carried on the family tradition of handcrafting fine cigars in the family's cigar factory, Tabacalera Las Lavas. Today, Luis Sr. is joined by his son Luis Jr. in the manufacturing and sale of premium long filler cigars at their factory, Tabacalera Las Lavas in Santiago, Dominican Republic. So check out Casa Cuevas Cigars at www.casacuevascigars.com and on their Instagram and Facebook channels.
All right. Let's bring in Si.
I had to hit OK on the recording.
My brother of a different country. How are you?
I'm good, Jimmie. I'm good.
Although we probably have some genetic compositional makeup because I have a lot of Irish in me. Believe it or not, I have an Italian surname, but I have a lot of Irish. My father's family, my great grandmother was from Cork.
And you know something? Cork is where I am from. So isn't that good?
There's a good chance we might have some genetic combination there that we can probably search on genealogy, right?
Bantry Bay, County Cork. And of course the Boston thing as well. You know, a lot of Cork people went there, didn't they? Boston.
Yeah. I tell people I only spent 3 years of my life in Boston, but I keep the name mainly because I love the Boston Red Sox, but also it was the start of my adult life. You know, I grew up in New York, right? But I moved into Boston and I was 21 years old, and that was like phenomenal, right? I went up there as an engineer, had a nice salary, had 3 years of phenomenal fun, and then moved back to New York, got married, and moved down to Florida.
I'll tell you something. Just like I didn't like the Red Sox, to be honest, right? But I did like Roger Clemens, and he pitched for the Red Sox.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I think he got a no-hitter for the Red Sox as well, or 21 strikeouts or something. The most strikeouts.
It was crazy. Yeah, I mean he was kind of lights out at times. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked him.
But
He was my favorite pitcher of all time. So there you
oh,
go.
okay. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of great pitches out there, and
Yeah.
today's world, the game has changed so differently as they
Mm.
added new rules and things, and it's hard to keep track of all the rules that keep changing stuff. It's like there's a rule book. It was written back in the 1800s. Why are you changing it?
Yeah, yeah,
It answers all the questions.
yeah.
They had situations in ball games where they actually had to go back to the rule book, flip through it, and go, "Oh, there's the rule. Rule, section 358.8, what that says that. Okay, out."
Mm.
Because it was a rare thing that would have happened. And somebody
Yeah.
thought about that back in the 1800s. It's like the
Well,
Constitution.
yeah. Well, actually, speaking of that, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, there was a pitcher called Charlie Sweeney, and
Mm.
he he was supposed to be damn good. And if you ever get a chance, Google him. But then he got jailed because he killed somebody in a bar fight. But he was pretty famous at the time for strikeouts and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But way back then, you know.
Yeah.
But he didn't end up in a good place, to be honest.
Well, things have changed, but things haven't changed. I mean, we still have issues with professional athletes getting into scuffles with people when they should have, caretakers that are watching over them and keeping them out of that trouble with all the money they make these days. Back then, they didn't make any money. Today, they make so much money. It's like, don't you have a handler? Somebody that's there watching over you, making sure you get in a car to go home, that you're not driving drunk, because you're a valuable asset to the organization. We can't have you getting into some stupid trouble because you just went AWOL.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's interesting because we have a league here, the Irish Baseball League, and in 2000, I played for the Dublin Panthers. I played for Dublin
You
Spartans.
use like that big heavy ball to do that in Ireland? Like
no,
when you
we
play
just use normal baseball. Yeah, it's just normal baseball.
the
That's
big
it.
medicine ball, you just throw that because you got
yeah.
rough and tough Irishman. What do you
We
mean
used
this
to
little
do that.
ball?
We used to do that at school, and we used to call it murder ball, where we get the big medicine ball and we'd all try and get it off each other. Geez, I'm showing my age now. But I played a few seasons and then played for Ireland. But the funny thing was, 2006, I won Player of the Year for the Dublin Spartans, and the trophy was, like a normal trophy, but it was a Spartan, a metal warrior with a big spear. And we were in the Amblehurst Hotel in Dublin during the awards, and I thought I was going to get first baseman of the year and all this because I used to play first base. I tried outfield at one time, but I just found it like I was tipping my hat and scratching my nuts. It was just boring.
It was a boring.
Yeah,
it's a boring position, especially right field. It's a very boring position.
So I remember Mike Sweeney used to play for the Kansas City Chiefs. So I said, "I'm not the Kansas City Chiefs, Kansas City Royals."
Royals, right?
So
right.
I went. I said, "I'll try first base because I've always had good hand-eye coordination, blah blah." So first base, I took to it like that, and I thought I was going to get that night at the awards. I thought I was going to get first baseman of the year, and when I didn't get it, I was spitting, and then, everybody was going to have a steak and all this. And I said, I just want my steak. And then it came to Player of the Year, and I wonder who's going to get that, and I got it. So that was why I didn't get first baseman.
There you go.
But the thing with that was that night people were looking at the trophy. It was a big mother of a trophy. Next minute, somebody said something, tell me it was turned around, and because it was a Spartan, had a shield and a spear thing.
Oh no!
It stuck me in a flipping eye, nearly blinded me. I turned around quick, and the spear hit me in the eye. So I had a picture of me and the trophy. Somebody took a great picture, and all you could see was me, the trophy, and a bloodshot eye.
So, moral of the story is: do not give trophies with spears to Irishmen as they're drinking and partying.
Exactly.
There you go.
The gift stole the pain.
What are you smoking tonight?
I'm just smoking a Magnum 54 H. Upman.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm smoking an Aladino Corojo Reserva. Thank you, Lou Piscatelli, for this. That's awesome.
Yeah, my good brother, good man. But you see, this is
losing
one of my
amazing.
favorite cigars, Jimmy. So I actually took it out because it was on your show. It's one of my favorites. I savor them, so I just especially for you, especially for
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. So
So
for a good guy, good.
as we were getting ready to do the show in the last couple of days, you sent me some info about you. And I
Mm.
mean, thank you for allowing me to learn a little more about Si Sweeney. Um, so let's just start with the whole idea of being an ambassador for this thing called Light 'em Up Go. Explain to people what Light 'em Up Go is, because I went there, you got to have an invite to be part of that, from what I understand, because it's asking for a code if somebody tries to log into it.
Yeah.
So what is Light 'em Up Go, and how long has it been running, and what's its
Yeah.
purpose?
Well, Light 'em Up has been running a few years now. Reinhard Porek, it was very, very popular. Works for Jeremiah Merifel now. Merifel cigars. If it's not Cameroon, it's not Merifel,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's not Merifel, it's not Cameroon, whatever way he used to say it.
Exactly.
But Reinhardt is Austrian. He's brilliant. He's one of the nicest people, genuine people you'll ever meet. And he came, do you remember when like 2019, when things started getting with that COVID thing coming in and everything,
Mm-hmm.
so media really coming into it, he started a thing called Light 'em Up, right? Where he'd have different guests and different stuff and stuff like that. And he became really, really popular, and he's very articulate, very knowledgeable, and he learned a lot, and he listens, and and that's why he is now working for Merifel now. But Light 'em Up Go then, when he wanted ambassadors for Light 'em Up, so he picked various people, some in the States, some in Europe, to be ambassadors. And luckily enough, he picked, I don't know why, but he picked me, but
Well,
the mad Irishman. But he then, the Light 'em Up Go thing is an app then. We set that up as an app. And the app, so it's Light 'em Up, and then there's also a thing called Light 'em Up Go, which is the app for Light 'em Up. You know what I mean, basically. And it's a lot of it is to do with it was kind of put out there so that people to promote cigar smoking and their experiences, different countries where you can go, what you can do, if it's allowed, if it's all this kind of stuff, and to basically promote cigar smoking around the world. Basically was his idea with that, and he's done really, really, really well. So, and just say if you were coming to Ireland tomorrow, I could tell you where you wanted to go and have. If you can't tell you where to go and have a cigar, what to do. If you want to London, the ambassador. I'm not too sure if he has an ambassador in the UK, but I could tell you about England anyway. But if you were going to Vienna, if you were going the Austrian ambassador for Light 'em Up would do that, boom, 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 stuff like that. Like, it's just to put things out there and promote our wonderful
yeah.
passion.
I love it. I think that is, more and more of that has to occur. I just reached out to somebody the other day that I realized that one of the shows one of the channels I get into has a lot of a number of people from San Diego, and I have a very good friend of mine who eventually moved and found himself in San Diego. And I introduced him to cigars, and he's really evolved. A younger man, about the same age as my son. And I was like, I got to get him on the show. Just get him on that channel, because he can connect with people that are in that area. Because it's nice to have Zooms and all of that, but if you can actually say, hey, you know what, I live here. Maybe we do a group that are all in San Diego, and we get together once in a while and smoke
Yeah.
cigars and get to know each other more than just this type of environment.
Yeah, exactly. It's like here. You have guys there that we have, the Irish cigar lovers thing, and every now and then something come up and people will meet in Grafton Street or wherever, and have a cigar and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But Ireland's very clever. Ireland is clever in a way because you don't have cigar lounges as such in Ireland.
No, you can't smoke in them technically,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But
I experienced that at the James Fox and Company when I was
yeah,
in Dublin.
yeah, exactly. But what a lot of the pubs have done, inner city Dublin's tough enough because you got pubs stuck next to each other and they're small and all this, but more out into the country like Clane, Selfridge, look different all over the country. Because Ireland bought in the smoking ban, remember, it was one of the first countries to bring in the smoking ban. Not for cigars, just smoking in general.
Right.
But they found a loophole. The pubs found a loophole, especially the country pubs. If they build a smoking area, yeah, and some of these smoking areas are like high tech, you know, the best, what you call that, ventilation, the
Sure.
TV screens, the carpets, like AstroTurf, you know. Really, you'd actually think you were still in the pub, you know,
Mm.
but there's a gap in between the wall of
So it's
the
not
pub.
touching the
It's
wall
not
of the
touching the
pub,
wall.
right?
Yeah. So you can go and, you know, everything's heated beautifully. You're going to have your cigar. You can have, you know, whatever you want, your pipe, your cigarette, your vape. I don't know, whatever you're into. And so that's the way they kind of got around it. It looked really good to the rest of the world that didn't want smoking, but they still got around it. You know, they still got around it.
So what has radically changed over the years in Europe or in Ireland, let's just say, from a cigar smoker's perspective? I mean, you used to just be all Cubans, but that now I think has evolved and has Light 'em Up Go help do that, has some of these other shows help do that, to
And
bring
social
in,
media,
more New
of
World
course.
stuff.
Yeah. What? See, a lot for years and years. I grew up in a tourist town. Um,
Mm.
called Bantry, West Cork, and it was pure, you know, German tourists, American tourists were the main tourists, to be honest, you know. And of course you got your Spanish, and Spanish be used to the Cuban cigars,
Hmm.
and so Americans would be used to non-Cubans since John F. Kennedy's time.
Yeah.
Um, so but in Ireland, you could have in a tourist town, especially in the hotels, way back then when you could smoke anywhere. You know, when I was a young lad, the tourist towns, you could when the Yanks we used to call them, they'd have their cigars, but they were so happy they could buy Cuban cigars. You know what I mean? And they weren't madly expensive back then. You know, and then the Spanish would come, but they'd be used to their Cubans to bring their own. You know, because you know the way in Spain, the prices of cigars is controlled by the government, is not controlled by anything else. So you know that's why you get a hell of a lot of good Cuban cigars in Spain and Portugal for very
Mm.
cheap, you know,
Yeah.
compared to anywhere else in Europe, you know. But
Except the fact that that Habanos has ridiculously raised the price of cigars.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So they keep
Because
it
of
at
drug
whatever the
use.
proper price should be,
Yes,
but the proper
yes.
price is not proper anymore. Let's just put it
Mm,
that
mm. Because of our good friends in China
way.
and
Exactly.
Singapore. But no, and now what happens is now if you go into the decent cigar emporium, you go into Fox's. Fox's still loves the Cuban, you know, the Cuban way of things. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Fox's, they do because they've been like, well, JJ Fox in London is after that place in Paris is the second oldest cigar shop in the world, basically, and then you have JJ Fox's sister
In
in
Dublin.
Dublin, not
Right.
too far from Peterson Pipes and all that, you know. So you they're still
Been there
very
too.
yeah. They're very Cubanesque, but they still have some New World cigars. But if you go up the street, up Grafton Street on the left hand
Okay.
side, you have a place called the Decent Cigar Emporium, and
Okay.
that mainly sells said the odd Cuban, but it mainly sells New World cigars. I don't like calling them New World cigars. I hate that term, New World
It's a
cigars.
word. It's a
Yeah.
word that we have to get used to. I use
I
that
just say
term only
non-Cubans.
because
Yeah.
non-Cubans, right? Exactly, non-Cubans.
Because, most of the rollers that came out of Cuba and everything, generation, fourth generation, their fathers and their mothers and their whatever, they just went out to Nicaragua, Costa Rica, flipping Dominican Republic. So that's why I don't like to be called New World. That's what I mean. But not that my opinion matters much. But yeah, to me, I just prefer the word non-Cuban. But they have. I mean, I remember they got a contract. Nick Perdomo, and Ricardo Carrione, and that. What's the name of the company? I forgot.
Fuente?
Brain freeze.
Fuente?
Brain. Oh, I can't remember. Brain freeze there. But they bought Perdomo's into the decent cigar emporium to promote them last year and bought them in. But I remember buying Perdomo's into the decent cigar emporium 10 years ago. So they must have been getting them somewhere else and bringing them in. But they do have a range of non-Cubans. So I think a lot of people now, and especially through social media, since COVID, really, to be honest, have found it more affordable to smoke non-Cubans. They're trying, like some cigars out of Nicaragua, Costa Rica, some cigars out of Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, even. Actually, the worst cigar I ever smoked was from Panama, but I won't mention the name because I wouldn't be disrespectful. But Dominican Republic, the people, especially the younger generation, they want choice. They want to have that choice, and they're not so thinking about the Cubans. The Cuban thing here was, you see, in Ireland and a lot in the UK as well. When I lived in the UK, to smoke a cigar was like a luxury, a luxury. Yes. And the front, and people were snobs or this or that or the other. They smoke cigars, but like in the States, people have been smoking cigars since the year dot.
Yeah.
Get them at a reasonable price.
But even back in the day, it was, it was a luxurious thing. Like when Davidoff came in and created the original premium cigar market outside of Cuba, right? And Davidoff was on the scene. I mean, it was, it was suits and ties and, it was glamorous. You were the boss man and all of that. And then when Jonathan Drew got in and created Drew Estate, he started producing cigars that were extremely affordable for the average person. All right, that you didn't have to have a luxurious bank account to go sit around and smoke cigars anymore. And then you get guys like Pete Johnson got in the game, and then you brought all the tattoos, and I mean things really changed in 10 years in this world. Okay, in a dramatic way, where people, I mean, women smoking cigars, men smoking cigars, and going to lounges and really appreciating the sharing of the leaf, sharing of the stories. So we've gone a long way, and I'm sure that you're seeing the same thing there.
Oh, we are big time, especially with the younger generation as well, because like this thing in the old days was men in tweed suits, kind of a bit stuffy and all that, but them days are gone, and I can only have a Cuban. I wouldn't smoke anything but a Cuban, but that's bullshit.
I had a friend of mine that used to was like
how
that.
Are you supposed to know what? Like, that's like saying I won't drink anything but fucking one brand of whiskey. How do you know another brand isn't any better or the same or good? Or variety is the spice of life. At the end of the day, like, I mean, you have to open your mind and try, and that's what I like about people now. They are opening their minds. They are trying. Being just people are going to be stuck in their heads or whatever, but that's their choice. That's the great thing about cigar smoking. It's your choice, But I find that I find that like I try anything, you know, except what's that song, Guantanamero? Except the Guantanamero, they're horrible, but they're disgusting. But you try anything, and then you say maybe. But there's some fabulous. There's some well, there was some good Cubans out there, some great ones. Davidoff is great, of course, you know, but there's some fantastic Nicaraguan cigars, Costa Rican cigars, you know, Honduran cigars, Mexican cigars. Like, but you'll never know until you try. You
I
have
mean,
to
I
try.
remember Mexican cigars in the United States back in the late 80s. Okay. And they were dark, oscuro. They were oscuro black, right? And I remember a friend of mine went to Mexico and came back with cigars to me. And, you know, he didn't do the fake Cuban shit. He came back with these Mexican cigars in a bag. And I think it was the first time I looked at a cigar like that. I was like, damn, that's a really black cigar, man. You know, and when I smoked it, there was a like incredible spice. I mean, it was just like a pepper bomb. And I was like, what is this? And why would you smoke this at first? You know, but it evolved, and they produce some of the most revered leaf now in San Andreas for what we want. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go back to James Fox. I don't know if you know this, but James Fox in Dublin, they were the first ones to have what was considered a regional cigar from Cuba. I don't know you know that story?
No, go on, enlighten us, dude.
Yeah, so what happened was back in World War II, Ireland was neutral, all right? But to get the cigars to Ireland, they had to come from James Fox in London. And the problem was ships got taken over, things, you know, all this issue. So what they did is they contacted the Cuban government and they had them stamp the boxes for IRE. Okay. And they were shipped directly to Ireland. So being neutral, you had to let them go through, right? They went through and they showed me the box. They have the original box there. It's a big box with open doors, and there it is. It's stamped for IRE. And that was the first regional cigar because they had to have it regionalized so that they can get the cigars into Ireland. If you ever get to James Fox in Dublin, ask the shop owner to take you downstairs to his office.
Yeah, I'll have to see them. Yeah,
Tell
because
him
I did.
Boston Jimmie said hi, and then take him downstairs. I did a really nice article because he has all of this crazy old age stuff, like 110-year-old H. Upman Solomons. I mean, just you like H. Upman, I tell you what, you see some of these cigars, it'll blow your mind.
I wouldn't mind. I said to him last year that I'd do a video, you know, of and then last summer wasn't a good time for me. It was just one of them times in life where everything was just up and mad.
Right.
And I never, but you've just jogged my memory, so I'll have to go in and do that. I'll do a little piece on that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But
yes.
It's kind of like Davidoff, the way he, you know, in Switzerland and everything, the way he controlled because of World War II. That was the best thing that ever happened to him. You know what I mean? Because he was neutral. And he could distribute the cigars to all the officers in Britain, Germany, everywhere, you know. So he made a killing on that, like as we say in Ireland. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna do another shout out to the sponsors. This is about a 4-minute break, and when we come back, I want to talk about bodybuilding. Okay, because that's another part of your life that maybe people don't know about. Some that know you know, but let's talk about that. Yeah. So with that, I'm gonna.
And today's show is brought to you by Bocock Brothers Cigars, a new and active brand founded by two Honduran brothers, Bryant and Douglas Bocock. The brand zeroes in on those folks that are looking for easy-to-smoke cigars inspired by unusual circumstances. very importantly named after their very interesting and imitable last name, Bocock. Right now, Bocock Brothers is featuring their signature edition, made at the AJ Fernandez factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. It features an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, a Nicaraguan Habano binder, and a Nicaraguan filler. Available in three popular formats: a Robusto, a Toro, and a Gordo. You can check out Bocock Brothers Cigars at www.bocockbrothers.com. And today's show is brought to you by Platinum Nova Cigars. Platinum Nova is a family owned and operated premium cigar company. Only the highest vintage tobacco and the most skilled hand workmanship go into the making of each Platinum Nova cigar. This results in a timeless blend of art and craftsmanship. The Nova brand and the family's work are a tribute and an honor to their grandfather to always remember him and his infinite passion for the finest cigars. Their love for cigars started with their grandfather, a dedicated master blender and entrepreneur in the cigar industry. So the next time you're looking for that exquisite cigar experience, pick up a Platinum Nova. You can check them out at Platinum Nova Cigars, www.novacigar.com, and on their Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter channels. This episode of Taking It to the Nub is sponsored by the Box Press Cigar app, the ultimate cigar smoking experience. With Box Pressed, you can easily catalog cigars with your own virtual humidor. Quickly rate and record notes for any cigar using the Smoke Session feature. Receive intelligent cigar recommendations based on your personal taste profile and access exclusive discounts from top cigar brands. You can even shop your favorite cigars directly in the app, then automatically sync the order to your virtual humidor, plus so much more. Download Box Press today by typing bxpr.sd/install into any web browser and discover the world of cigars like never before. That's bxpr.sd/install. And today's show is brought to you by All Saints Cigars, a company founded in 2019 and headed up by industry veteran Mickey Pegg and his two friends, Martin Corboy, a successful restaurateur, and Frank Leo, an Air Force Academy graduate military veteran. As Mickey explains it, they were all sitting down talking and smoking cigars, and finally they decided that they would do this thing together. It was time. Mickey said, "I decided if I'm going to work hard at it, it should be something I love. And besides, a tough day with a cigar is better than a great day doing anything else." Soon after, they began the process of launching All Saints Cigars, jokingly referring to themselves as the Holy Trinity: St. Michael, St. Martin, and St. Francis. They chose for their logo the cross of St. James, the patron saint of Nicaragua, the country where their cigars would be produced. You can check out All Saints Cigars at www.allsaintscigars.com.
All right. Let's bring back Si.
Now, Jimmy, can you just give me 1 second? I will just sit down. I was just getting a drink, to be honest.
All right. Well, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with a drink. I can't drink today because I've found out that I'm on some antibiotics because I got some stupid thing going on in my brain. Got some, I just got some head cold or whatever, and it's been gripping me for the last 2.5 weeks. I was just like, God, man, I just got to get this over with. So I made it to the doctor, and that was it. Interesting. Trying to understand why.
I hope you get better. Jeez.
Yeah, we will. It's getting better. It's getting better every day. Every day, it seemed to have gotten better, but it had, it goes through those moments where you think you're feeling fine, and all of a sudden you just start hacking, and you're just like, So I finally got a hold of the doctor, and I was like, I got to come in, give me some. Got some antibiotics and a little bit of cough thing, and I think I'm better, or I'm getting better. So we'll get through it. The so what I wanted to get into here was let's go here. Where is it? Oh, there's my picture. So you are part of what's known as the National Association of Bodybuilding something. What's the actual term stand for?
National Amateur Bodybuilding Association.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And that is that, and that has people in it like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Was like 3 times in that, right? On the professional side. 4 times champion.
Yeah.
Right.
See, that's what actually made Arnold Schwarzenegger. In 1966, he competed for NABBA is the oldest bodybuilding federation in the world. And in 1966, he competed in the Mr. Universe. I mean, even people that don't know about bodybuilding have heard of the Mr. and Miss Universe. You know what I mean? And he came second to an American guy called Chet Yorton. The next year, 67, he won the amateur title, blew everybody away at the age of 19 or 20. And then in 68, the year I was born, 69 and 70, he won the professional title, beating like people like Lou Ferrigno and, you know, and Bill Pearl. Bill Pearl, he never competed against Pearl. Pearl wouldn't compete against him, but he beat Frank Zane. He beat all the major people in bodybuilding, and he became 4-time Mr. Universe. And in 1967, he was made life honorary member of NABBA. And then he went on to do pump and iron and all this, and the Weeders took him over with the IFBB, which were always in competition with NABBA, but NABBA was there first and was the oldest bodybuilding federation in the world, and still is, and still going strong. And I judged for them. In 2016, I got the same. I was made life honorary member as well, same as Schwarzenegger, which is not bad, like, you know.
So this is you right here.
Yeah.
Receiving 3rd time, right? 3rd time award.
Yeah, and after the 3rd time, that's Eddie Elwood. That's 5-time Mr. Universe Eddie Elwood, and the president of NABBA at the moment. But the funny thing is, that was the 3rd year that I got it, and I got to keep it after the 3rd year. You know what I mean?
They don't let you keep the first one. They give it to you and take it back. Well, what's that all about?
Yeah, because you have to, because there's 60 countries, so it doesn't mean you're going to get it next year or the year after. But they bought out that award in 2016, was the inaugural year, or 2017, right. Sorry. So I got 2017, 2018, 2019, and then I was allowed to keep it, obviously. But I remember there was a guy called Marcus Schlager, the president of the German NABBA, as I said, federation, there's 60 countries in NABBA. And he said, if Si Sweeney doesn't die, we will never get this trophy. And just to prove it, look.
There it is.
There it is.
That seems to be heavy, man. You got to be a muscle builder to carry that thing. How heavy does that weigh?
It is massive. Massive.
Yeah.
Jeez, I'd say it's about 8 kgs easily.
Wow. Yeah.
But it's Oscar Heidenstam, who was the founder of NABBA in 1949, you know? And the first universe was 1950, and an actor that went on to play Hercules in the movies that probably maybe your granddad or your dad might have watched, Steve Reeves, was the first Mr. Universe. So there you go.
Now here is you. This is fun. You could talk about this too.
That's actually a girl with her arm over my shoulder there. That's, you know, when you judge in that, you know, you judge. This is at the Worlds, not the Universe. This is the Worlds in 2019. That was the French team that done so well. They're the professionals, because you've amateur professional. You go everything from bikini to tone figure to train figure to sports athletic in women, and then in men you go class 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is height, size, and muscle and all that. And it's just it was my passion, and of course as well I run the NABBA Universe through the years site. I run the NABBA Universe. I created NABBA Universe through the years site. I created the NABBA Universe of History site. I have Bodybuilding World past and present site. So I still promote all the people from the past and the history of it all, so that the young people of today that are into fitness and bodybuilding appreciate the people that made it all happen, like the likes of Schwarzenegger and Oscar Heidenstam and the Bill Pearls and the Frank Zanes of this world, you know what I mean? And this here, I'll just show you this. This is, if you can see it, this is the same certificate that Army has.
Okay, that's kind of blurred out, but yeah.
Hold on, just get the blur off here. Okay, more backgrounds, isn't it? Backgrounds and effects. Take the blur off. Now you can see it. And it's.
Oh, look at you! That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever competed in this? Have you done competition or only judged?
1 second. Yeah, 1 second. My dream. I'll tell you a good story. My dream was to get on the universe stage when I was a kid. I found I was on a school tour. God Almighty, it was. Hold on, it was about 12, so 68, 78, 79, 80. About 1980, I was 12. And I'm country. I was originally a country boy, you know. And we had, our teacher was a famous Gaelic footballer, our PE teacher, PT or whatever you call it in the States. And his name was Pat Spillane. And we were on a school tour, and everybody else was spending their money. We had £1 spent that our parents gave us, and everybody else was spending their money on sweets and, you know, candy and shit. But I was terribly sporty. I was into everything. I was from running to boxing to football to hurling, you know, Gaelic sports. Sport was my thing, you know, and that was it. And I spotted a little magazine called Health and Strength, and there was a guy called Sergio Oliva on the cover, and he was Cuban, funny enough, and he became one of the greatest bodybuilders in the world, and he competed against Arnold many times. He actually beat Arnold in 1970, 69 or 70, in an IFBB competition. But I said, wow. I remember looking and saying, I want to be like that, you know? And then I was reading, and it was all about the universe. And I said, I want to be on that universe stage, right? Someday I want to be on the universe stage. And then I remember going back, we lived 3 miles out of the country. So we didn't have weights, but there was farm equipment, there was different things. So I used to copy Reg Park, had things you could do. So I used to put stuff together and make all stuff. And geez, I ended up bloody strong, you know? And so then that was fine, you know. And Pat Spillane confiscated my magazine because I was reading it in class. And he said to me, because he was our PT instructor, and he was a great footballer, Gaelic footballer, but he was also our geography teacher. So during geography, I was reading it. And I said to him, and he confiscated it, he says, you'll never get it back. And I said, someday I'm going to get it on stage. And he laughed, you know, And years later, because obviously training, and then I was when I came out of when I left Ireland was 17, and the military, came out of the military, and then I was working on. I had to train hard because I was working in nightclubs as a doorman. What you call them, bouncers in America. But you know, and I was 8 years on the doors in England, and boom, 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 boom. But to cut a long story short, so I had to train, and I do different competitions and different stuff. And then I flipping tore my pec, you know, my pec muscle, which is serious when you tear it.
You tore that?
Yeah. And it goes
weightlifting or doing what you were doing?
Yeah. And so I thought, I'll never get there, but I got over that. And then I ended up in a very, very bad accident where I broke a bone in my sternum, missed my heart by 2 millimeters. And they said only that because I was, well, you know, trained, that if I was slimmer, it probably would have killed me. I ended up with 2 brain hemorrhages, clot in my frontal lobe, and I continued into the right hand side of the brain. So that said, what am I going to do now? They said, do not touch a weight. Do not ever touch a weight again. Do not do this. Do not do that. Do not do this. And I remember waking up in the hospital. I remember being bored in the bed going around with the, you have the thing for your drip for your thing.
Yeah,
and nurses chasing me, going, get back to bed, you're going to die, and all this and that. 2 years later, I went back in the gym, and I said, right, it was squat bar with 300 pounds on it. And I said, 300-pound weight. And I said, right, it's now or never, because I said, don't put pressure on your head anymore and all this. And I said, well, I'm going to do this, and it'll either kill me or it won't kill me. And then I said, no, it didn't kill me. So I just kept training. But I said, like, my days of trying to compete on the universe stage, trying to get to the universe stage are gone. So then I got into judging and history and judging and all that. And then in 2016, when they made me life honorary member of NABBA for dedication and commitment, I got onto that universe stage. So I got there.
Nice. You there?
Yeah. And I had great satisfaction, and then letting my teacher know when I went on holiday and see them.
So you never got a chance to do this.
Using the rope to stay balanced and to get a little extra pull down the course.
Yeah.
He seems to have found his rhythm a little bit.
Well, a car or a tractor, but not a plane.
I mean, that is crazy. I mean,
that's crazy. I can pull a car, I can pull a tractor.
Pulling a car, pulling a plane.
Yeah, I can tell you a funny one about a tractor. There was a guy called Chuck Daly from the USA. He was building a house in a place called, it wasn't too far from our house, but it was called the Sandy Strand. And you had this, like it's a beach, a lovely private, well, you're not supposed to have private beach in Ireland, but he wanted to make it private, which was against the law, because there was a right away.
Right.
But he was building a bungalow, and I just went to see the movie. I don't know, I was maybe 14 at the time. I went to see the movie Footloose. You remember that Kenny Loggins song?
Footloose, yes.
Footloose. There was a tractor race in it. Kevin Bacon was in a tractor race, and they were racing his tractor. So one Sunday afternoon, when we were building this bungalow for Chuck Daly, this American guy that went to move to us, because his people were from there originally, I got up on the tractor. And I was like, everybody cut loose, foot loose. But the only thing was that the tractor had too many gadgets on it. And the second thing started moving. And I didn't know how to stop it. So I could go, and I jumped off last second, and I went down over the cliff. And even at 14, I was strong. And I looked over the cliff, and I was watching. I seen this tractor at the bottom, and these waves waffling over. And I went, I'll never pull that out. I'll never pull that out. I ran home, and my mother, because tractors were like expensive, back then. Much money. And I ran home, and my mother said, "What did you do?" And I said, "Mom, I didn't do anything." She goes, "What did you do?" And I said, "Why do you think I've done something?" She goes, "You're as white as a ghost." I said, Chuck Daly, blah blah blah. I think it's Wiseman's tractor that worked for. It's kind of moved. And she said, "Where's it moved?" I said, "Over the cliff." So please don't tell anybody. But funny enough, I was talking to my mom, because I always thought, for years, fair play to mom. She never told anybody, how good.
So he doesn't know, other than if he's watching his show, he doesn't know that this happened?
No, he's dead. So
he's dead. So that's
now.
it.
He passed on. But if Wiseman is alive, who owns the tractor? Well, my mom, I said to my mom about it. I said, "What? I said, Mom, fair play to you. All those years you've never, like, I'm 55 now. All those years you've never told. This is only a few months ago." And she goes, "Yeah, well, I couldn't tell." She says, "Because I'd have to pay for the bloody thing, and I didn't have any money." And I thought she only told for the love of her son. You know what I mean?
Well, some things people take to the grave. Some things you want to tell, and then you lose the moments because the person you want to tell passes away. I did. It happened to when my dad passed away. There was some stories I wanted to tell him, and he didn't pass in a long way. He just had a massive heart attack sitting in the passenger seat of the car and just dropped dead, like done.
Well,
Like it was like instantaneous. So I never had the moment to sit down with him and say, Jack, man, there's some things I want to tell you. You're getting old, and I think you ought to know a few things. Because we were three brothers that just, we did stupid shit too.
Yeah, you do. Like, me and my brother, there's 11 months between us. Like,
and the parents always defended us as if we didn't do it. It's like, yeah, well, we did that. It's oops.
See, I was the opposite, because unfortunately in 73 my father got killed. So he was 28 and my mum was 22. I was 5, Danny was 4, Bernie was 3, Grace was 2. So she had little steps. So a few years later, she married a sergeant from the Irish Army, and he was from Scotland. Oh my God, he was strict. He was super strict. So if she had told, I don't know if I'd be here telling the story today.
Now, on the folks that you've met on the circuit, right? Did you meet Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Not yet. No, not yet.
No. So you never met him.
Unfortunately, well, I've never had a cigar with him, but which is my aim. Was it in 2019? 2020, we were to have the 70th anniversary of the universe.
Okay.
So everything was set for him to come, like everything would be get Arnold, boom, 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 because it's 70 years. And of course, because he won it so many times. And the good old happy disease happened. That horrible, you know what. And that was the end of that. So hopefully
75th coming up. 75th is coming up. Yeah. That's a better one.
Yeah. So, and I just want to have a cigar with him.
Now, do other bodybuilders smoke cigars? Do they smoke cigars, or their training is so intense that that's not in their regiment?
No, I know bodybuilders that smoke cigarettes, for God's sake.
Oh,
yeah, of course, yeah, there is, but smoke. Even my friend Stephen Stewart, and I got him into smoking cigars. You know what I mean? He's, Mr. Northern Ireland guy. He smokes cigars. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, just quite a few that would have in Tom Platz. There was a famous bodybuilder called Tom Platz, and a good friend of mine actually. He the Golden Eagle. He competed against Arnold, the blonde-haired fellow. If you ever look him up, the Golden Eagle, he smokes cigars. He enjoys cigars. So cigars is for everybody.
Absolutely.
And getting back to what you said earlier as well, I just want to mention this. Women, absolutely fantastic, not because like I'm a collaboration. I'm a member of the collaboration committee of Sisters of the Leaf Global Movement, Anastasia Samadi and Lefty Karopoulos, but which promotes, women smoking cigars. But people like Sarah Saunders has been doing it for a long time, promoting and helping with women and all that. And our lovely friend Karen, Hunter. There's so many women out there, and of course, people we've had on the show. What myself and Andy try and do with Cigar Lounge International is get as many women as we can. But obviously, the balance is tough because there's more males at the moment. But as guests on that show,
but you got some good ones on there. You got some good regulars. I enjoy that show on Tuesday because I have nothing else to do anymore. So it gives me an opportunity
we've had
experience it.
We've had Janine Perdomo, Melanie Cisco. We've had what's her name, Cigar Blondie, that you from Nova Cigars.
Nova, Leo.
Yeah, I like that Nova cigar actually.
Leo's a fun person.
Yeah, we've had Patricia, Sister of the Leaf. We've had a good few women. Rosie Barber from England, Cara, of course, Sadie Saunders. We try and get as many as we can, but and it's because I believe I firmly believe that in this world, people should be allowed to do what, like, opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one, you know, to be
Of
honest, right?
course.
But if a lady wants to sit down, if a woman, it doesn't matter if she's a flipping duchess or if she's working, do nothing or working out in the road. It doesn't matter what part of life you're from. If a woman wants to sit down and enjoy a cigar in a cigar lounge, in a flipping bar, anywhere, in a field, in a park, but let them. Don't be too many people. Oh, women cigars. No, I think one of the most fantastic things that's happened recently, in the cigar industry, is women being so passionate and about their cigars and about what they enjoy. You know, it's fantastic, and I really like. I love to see a woman smoking a cigar, because I think too many people be against her. But why? Why should they be? Who are they to judge? You know, who are they
Exactly.
to
I'd
judge?
rather have them smoking a cigar than a stanky cigarette.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And if
And
they
there's no
enjoy it,
reason why they can't
mm,
enjoy everything that's on this earth too.
mm,
You know, so I love the movement. I love the fact that there's more and more women cigar smokers that show up in lounges.
yeah,
I love the movement as far as how they look at cigars,
mm,
and they look at them just like we look at them.
yeah,
They're not looking for the sweet tip. They're not looking for the sweet cigar all the time. They're out there. Same reason you and I are out there, right? What's the
mm,
next good cigar? What is this? They like
yeah.
bold. They like power. They
Mm.
like all of that.
What
And
can I get? What can it do for me? What will it do to my senses and my palate and the way I
yeah,
feel? Like I think it's very true that I'll even say it to Lisa. My Lisa doesn't smoke cigars, but I'll say to her, Lisa, just try this for me. What do you think of this? And she'll tell me notes that
yes, yes.
it's their palate
Yeah.
is
Our nose is
different.
probably cleaner than your nose,
Yeah, exactly. And
right?
I love, I think that through the years, women have been treated very unfairly by some archaic fuckwits in the industry. To be
Yeah.
honest, I don't know if you
I mean, we
understand this.
have my local shop here has every
Mm,
weekday or every month. Is it monthly? I think it's monthly. They have what
mm,
they call the Fierce Fumeras,
mm,
and that's a sister to leaf organization that they have locally. They get together in the lounge. They bring in a guest and they have a conversation about cigars. I was one of their guests once. We were just talking about flavors and notes and things and having this beautiful discussion of educational
mm.
knowledge. And they're just soaking it up like a sponge. They're learning everything
Ah,
they can, just like everybody else does.
mm,
So all the power, keep it going. I think, it doesn't matter you're
mm.
male or female. It's just ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
we're all
It is
human
ridiculous.
and we enjoy what
Mm.
we enjoy.
Yeah, because people are saying like, we're trying to get unity in the cigar industry, and like at the end of the day, you need consumers. You need consumers, and you need the right way to do things. And who who's consumer? Male, female. You know what I mean?
We're the
It's
largest growing
male,
demographic of cigar smokers.
mm,
Largest growing demographic over the
mm,
last number of years. And I met a group from Wisconsin. They call themselves the Cigar Babes. And what they
mm.
do is they go around the different shops and they raise money to buy clothes to bring down to like Nicaragua to the children and
Yeah,
take care of the children, provide them new clothes and all of this. They have a whole mission that they did on this. And they did all survey um, of like 500 women cigar smokers. And it was fascinating just to
mm,
understand the demographic. But the key thing that they did is they said, did you ever pair a cigar with tea? It's not something we think of, right, all the time. We think
mm.
whiskey, a beer, an IPA,
Coffee.
a
Yes.
wine, coffees,
Mm,
tea. Because the tannins in the tea kind of bring out more notes.
mm,
And I tried it and I was like, yeah, it makes a difference. And of course, if you fix your tea up nice, put a little honey in it, a little lemon or something, it's even a better pairing. So yeah, tea worked quite well.
And it is, and it's one of the happiest things it's you know it's important to me. I find it important. I find it important that women should be more appreciated in the industry. To be honest, and they should be more appreciated in high up roles and as consumers. That's and it's powerful, and because they are fantastic. Women are fantastic, and it's great to see it. It's great to see more of them catching on. It's great to see people promoting them more for the women smoker, and not to be so archaic in your thinking, or don't be, not us, but some people, not to be so rude or ignorant towards female smoker, because I think sometimes they do get a hard time.
Right.
But
now I want to shift gears. I want to shift gears for you here. Talk a little more about some of your likes. Now, normally I ask this question differently, but I saw something that I know you enjoy, or at least I think you do. So let's talk about these two characters. All right, Laurel and Hardy. Okay, you are obviously a fan of Laurel and Hardy, I understand.
Yeah.
I always enjoyed watching them when I was a kid, especially at Christmas time. We always watched what some people call the March of the Wooden Soldiers, but it's really Babes in Toyland, right? Which is a phenomenal movie. And and it was always like, I always, like, when I was a kid, I'd be like doing all the gibberish and stuff. But what was fascinating about this is that these two gentlemen, all right, one was British and one was American. Right? And it's always fun because the Brit is the skinny guy and the American's the fat guy. So even then, they were kind of explaining the world. Say, okay, you see, the Americans are all these fat guys in America. It's like, it hasn't changed. Everybody's like, talking about weight and stuff. But, so have you watched a number of their old films?
Of course I have. I grew up with Laurel and Hardy. My mother is an avid Laurel and Hardy fan. She just finds them so hilarious. She's even got a statuette in the garden of them leaning against a lamppost, and it's very good, actually. I've actually a picture of me with it in the background. But you see, with Cigar, Jose Blanco, I think, christened us Laurel and Hardy. Myself and Andy Garrett, Laurel and Hardy of the cigar world, It's just
the Laurel and Hardy of the cigar world. That's funny.
I'm the better looking one, of course. I don't think Andy's watching at this time of night anyway. So,
well, he might be.
We're not. We're not.
I mean,
we call ourselves twinnies. So he's my twinnies. So we're the same. We're the same.
Twinnies? Call them twinnies?
Yeah, twinnies. We're twinnies. As in twins, Even though he is a little bit older than me. We call ourselves Irish British twins. Yeah.
So what kind of music do you like to listen to?
My favorite singer in the world is Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to see him. I'm going to see him in May. I can't believe I got tickets, but I'm going to see him. Yeah, my daughter Simone, she's 24. She said she was in the car with me one day. She was wondering what to get me for Christmas, and I look, I'm old school. Don't get me nothing. I want nothing, and that's what I always
tell people. I don't need anything, and I always get something. I always get stuff.
Yeah. And when my granny used to knit me like a lovely V-neck pair of socks or something, but she's gone now. That was years ago. But I just don't want anything. It doesn't make. But she said I was in the car with her, and a Bruce Springsteen song came on, and she knows I love Bruce Springsteen, and it was Hungry Heart, and I was like, singing away, And she said that's what gave her the idea. So at Christmas, she said to me, "There you go." And I said, "What's that?" And she goes, "That's your receipt." So I said, "For what?" And she says, "2 tickets, one for you, one for Lisa, Bruce Springsteen." I was like, ugh. For once, I was stuck for words. That's not like me, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you a funny story. On my 50th birthday, my second favorite singer is Tim McGraw. So it's going from one thing to another, right? And Tim McGraw never played in Europe. And he's one of the richest, famous country and western singers going. And the funny thing about it was, from my 50th, a great friend of mine who doesn't do social media, doesn't do anything, Seamus Hanley, himself and Lisa somehow got tickets to Tim McGraw on his first ever appearance in the UK and Ireland. So I couldn't believe it. I was amazed. We got to the Free Arena, right? Tim McGraw comes out. I'm like, oh my God, it's Tim McGraw. It really is him, right? He gets into this first song. Yeah. He was about 2 lines into the song. All you heard was doof, and the lights went out. And I went, what the, what's going on? And these tickets were expensive. And so about 5 minutes later, the lights come back on, and Faith Hill is there, his wife, and she starts singing. I'm nothing against Faith Hill, but I don't like my ears bleeding after about 4 songs. So I was like, oh, fucking hell, disappointed to hell. So I said to Lisa, listen, I got to go. I can't listen to her. This is just ruined my day. So we get outside, and then there's people punching their heads off each other outside. So I said, come on, we'll go to try and go for a meal or something. But it turned out that he was suffering from, he'd done a gig in Belfast, he'd done a gig in Manchester or London, and then he was suffering from exhaustion. And I was thinking,
of course.
I said, fuck. And you know something? Even though he's one of the richest singers in the world, they never even offered an apology, or apology would have done. An apology, or sorry about this, or what you call it? He reimbursed the ticket, or if I come again, you can
right.
come. Nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. And hundreds of euro, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Hundreds of dollars. I just couldn't believe it. So I hope to God, Bruce. And I said to Simone, I said to my daughter, I said, Jesus Christ. I said, I hope he stays flipping healthy. And I said, I hope he doesn't have exhaustion when he comes over.
Well, I'm actually, you're going to see Bruce in May. I'm going to see the Stones in June here in Orlando. And I bought those. I originally was going to buy those tickets and take my wife. My wife's like an introvert. She's like, I don't want to go to a concert. I said, come on, go to a concert. It's my retirement thing. We'll have fun. She didn't want to go. So I didn't buy the tickets. So I ended up, I've seen them like 4 times already, right? And I absolutely love their new album. I think it's phenomenal. Yeah. And so what's that?
The Rolling Stones.
The Rolling Stones.
Yeah, well, what's his name lives here, just up the road. Ronnie Wood.
Ronnie Wood, yeah. So what I did is at Christmas time, similar experience to yours. At Christmas time, my niece, my goddaughter, right? She's like going to be 19, and she goes to college in Orlando area. And I looked over at her and I said, Sophia, would you like to go to see the Rolling Stones with me in June? And she's like, hell yeah. I looked at my wife. I said, problem solved. I'm taking my goddaughter to a Rolling Stones concert, completely generational moment for us to sit down and watch and have a great concert. But I have the same fear as you do, because these 80-year-old guys, you don't know what happens in any given day. They've gone through, Jagger's had heart issues in the past. Keith Richards is just doomed to live. He's had more things go wrong with him, and he's still kicking, right? Yeah. Charlie's obviously not there anymore. So this would probably be, my last Stones concert, and I figured I'm going to just enjoy it and have a lot of fun at this concert. It's one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
They put on a great show.
Ronnie Wood, as I say, he has a house. He bought an old farmhouse big house, you know. And my uncle John, who lives out that way, John McNeil, he was when the first plasma TVs came out to Ireland, they were fucking huge, and he had to put a massive one up in Ronnie's house because that's what you know. He's a carpenter, come this, you know, and he was sweating, and Ronnie's going, "Yeah, but it'll be all right. Just try it." And he said, "The flipping cement was, you know, because they're old buildings, you know." he it took him some sort of engineering genius to get this telly onto a wall that was about 300 years old, you know. And Ryan's going,
Yeah, because
yeah.
those walls are probably all
Mm,
plaster and there's slats on the
yeah,
back, and you got
yeah.
to where do you find the where are the studs that you can
Mm.
put something into to hold something of that size? I can imagine that.
And my uncle said he was sweating it. He was sweating it. But Ronnie was just not a guy comes to the pub here. He loves playing, you know. He just fell in love with playing, and that was it, you know.
So he goes
Playing,
out, he just comes out, hangs out at a pub and plays music.
yeah, yeah. And
That's
he's getting
awesome.
older now, but he used to do a hell of a lot before. You know what I mean? But he's no, it's and Chris de Burgh doesn't live far from here either. He sang that song "Lady in Red." He was famous in Ireland.
You
In the
should see the
world one
video.
time.
There's some videos up a few years back when Mick Jagger, he
Mm,
was here in America, and he had a kind of a baseball hat on. Wasn't dressed all fancy or anything, kind of just
yeah.
jeans and a t-shirt. And he walked into a dive bar. I forget where it was in America. And he just kind of walked in. Nobody knew him. Nobody
Mm,
recognized him when he walked in. He just went and got a pint of beer and just sat there and just observed shit. It's like
yeah,
Mick
yeah,
Jagger just walks into your bar and you don't know who he is.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's that reminds me of a quick story. I'll tell you a quick story about a bar. My ex-wife, her brother was getting married, and I had to buy a shirt. You know, when somebody's getting married, you always buy. Doesn't matter if you've 20 shirts in your wardrobe, you always buy a new shirt. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and us men, very quick. We go if we see something we like in the first shop, we'll buy it. So I went into Dublin, into Arnott's, and I bought this beautiful blue shirt, you know. And I said, there you go. So I said, shit, I have a day to myself. What am I going to do? So I'll go to the Boar's Head. So I went to the Boar's Head because there you can go out, you can have a cigar, you can have a beer. So I went in, sat at the bar, and it's one of the oldest pubs in Ireland. And it's cool. But the guy that owns it, man, he's a miserable son of a gun. And you know, but this when I sat there, I just ordered a pint of Guinness, and this old guy was sat next to me, an old Dublin guy, because you know we do it like the bar stools, and then you smaller tables behind you. So I was sat there, and and this lady behind the bar was talking to me, and then the bar was going. She was getting. He thought she was getting too friendly. Oh, go and wash some glasses. He was telling her. And the old Dublin guy goes to me, he goes, I just want to ask you, where are you from? And I said, some West Cork originally, but I emigrated from Ireland, blah, 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 blah. I was away so many years, boom, 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 boom. And he goes, oh, right. You just want, lonely old guy, you just want somebody to talk to, like you do. And in Ireland, everybody chats anyway,
Well,
it's
yeah, you
not.
got the gift of gab. That's the one
Yeah,
thing in
yeah,
my genetic system that I know I got from
yeah.
the Irish.
So the next minute, there's one door at the back of me and there's one door over to the left, right? Because the pub's on a corner. And this guy comes in with a baseball hat on, pair of sunglasses, and the worst looking shell suit tracksuit you've ever seen. And the man goes, you know who that is? And I looked over and I said, no. And he goes, that's a guy called Dickie Rock. And I went, who the fuck's Dickie Rock? You know what I mean? But apparently in the 60s, he was very famous, right? So I was like, oh, wow, yeah. So he asked me one simple question. He said to me, do you know anybody famous? Well, on your travels, And I said, well, I know Georgie Best. Did you ever hear of Georgie Best?
No.
Georgie Best was one of the most famous soccer players in the UK and the world, right? He was gifted. He died of liver failure. Well, I said, I know Georgie Best and I know Alex Higgins, right? And because when I used to work at Old Trafford, Man United Football Club, on the security. And Ned Kelly was the head of security then, and it was all, it was military run because Sky TV were taking over and people didn't want to see the hooliganism because we had Combat 18, we had terrible problems with hooliganism, right? So I used to work K stand all the time, which is the opposite stand of the Stretford end. But so I knew Georgie Best well and Eric Cantona and blah, blah, all them. But he was asking me, did I know anybody, famous that was Irish? So I was like, yeah, Georgie Best and Alex Hurricane Higgins. And Alex Hurricane Higgins was a great snooker player. So, snooker was very popular in the world. But Alex at the time, so what happened? The guy that owns the bar was, yeah, right. Thinking to himself, yeah. So he couldn't ride it. A few minutes later, somebody came in the door and there's a TV just above and the horse racing was on, and then the barman goes, and I used to work on a club called the Palace Nightclub. And Alex used to come in there and used to get so drunk, baby sham and whiskey he used to drink. He used to get so drunk that we used to have to escort him to a taxi because a lot of people wanted to hit him, because he was a little bit abusive. So he had to protect him. So the next minute, the barman looks, he goes, your friend is in. And I went, what? He says, your friend is in. So I looked behind, and there was a guy in black, like, those fedora hats, the black ones.
Right. Yeah.
Big black
fedora, right?
overcoat. Yeah, a big black overcoat, looking up at the horse racing. And it turned out that Alex Higgins was in Dublin at the time doing an exhibition. This wasn't actually too long. I think he died about a year later or two. And I said, and he goes, Alex Higgins. So I said, well, and he goes, I went, oh yeah. I said, oh yeah, that's nice. Just like that, And the old Dublin guy's looking at me, right? And he says, Dickie Rock over there. Alex Higgins, because Dickie Rock was famous in Ireland. Alex Higgins over there. And he goes, your man goes, are you not going to say hello to your friend?
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, when I'm ready. I said, get this gentleman a pint. I said, geez, I better go to him quick before he leaves or anything like that. So the next minute I walked over and I tapped Alex on the shoulder, right? And he turned around and he goes, sorry. And he started hugging me and kissing me and get this man a drink. But this man protected me, And well, your man nearly, the owner of the pub nearly fell, and I got so, and then Alex says to me, listen, he says, I'm up in some place up the road. And he says, I'm doing an exhibition tonight if you want to come and all that. I wouldn't have time because I had a wedding to go to the next day. But I said, yeah, Alex, of course. Tell Lawrence that I was asking for him. Lawrence was the guy that owned the Palace nightclub, And I said, well, next time I'm in Manchester, I'll tell him, blah, 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 blah. So we went separate ways. I sat back down and I said, do you want your pint? I said, I'll have my pint when I'm ready. And then the old Dublin guy goes to me, Jesus, he says, if Georgie Best walks in, he says, I'll fall off me feckin' stool. It was just one of them, just a perfect moment. You know what I mean? It just made me laugh.
So Lou, welcome to the show. So Lou.
What's up, guys?
Oh, there's Lou.
How you doing, Si?
How you, Lou?
What's happening?
Lou,
how you doing, buddy?
Lou is one of the most genuine people that I've actually met. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Jimmie. Last summer was not a good time for me, and me and Lou, we had many. You know who gives a shit in the world, and Lou cheered me up many a time. And I always slag him, don't I? I always mess with you,
Lou's a good man.
We don't mess with people if we don't like them.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the American ball breaking theory.
That's right.
Lou was very good to me. Lou was very good to me, and I appreciate the time we have our little chats, even if it was about Zach or about different things. I really do. I mean, you know, people go on this world, like we all have people, like everybody goes through to, like in my life, I've had an interesting life, to be honest, and I've seen a lot of shit, and I've helped a lot of people in my life, and I've done a lot of stuff, but I was always a strong man, and everybody would lean on me because I was strong, no matter what happened with death, with everything. And last summer, I went boof down, and certain people called me, and one of them was Lou, Jose Blanco, Karen Hunter. Oh my God, she was so good to me.
Karen's great.
You know,
Yeah.
And it's surprising. And of course, Des and Andy and Kendall. It's surprising who's an art. It's surprising who's good to you. You know, when other people, like, I'd help anybody. That's the way my heart. Like, people, some people get like intimidated by me in life and different things out in the world. But I'd help anybody, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I just want to thank you, Lou, because even a simple thing like even the last time we chatted properly, I went away and it made me feel better in myself. So I just want to say that.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
And Lou, Dan Augusto says, stand up and show your shirt.
Oh, Dan wants to see a shirt because Dan has a shirt made. Happiness is a cigar.
There you go.
No, so yeah, Si and Andy, they do the Zoom on Tuesdays, 2:00 Eastern time here. And they have great guests on, and even if a guest isn't on, we all get together. And that's just a great group of people over there. We really have a
fabulous group.
Yeah, we have a good time there.
And we've had, like we've had since it started, like it's been a few years now, and it's not like people think, oh, these things are easy. They're not flipping. It's like you're sourcing guests all the time. You're trying to do stuff, and like we've had the creme de la creme. We've had the Nick Perdomo. I remember even ringing Nick Perdomo like one day's notice. Nick, do me a favor, will you come on? Somebody let me down, and you come on, And you've Calito, Jeremiah, Jose Blanco, fantastic, and then you get everybody that, like, you try to vary it, that, because I don't care if you're the biggest manufacturer of cigars in the world, or you've a little shop on a corner in flipping Idaho, you're as important, you know what I mean? So you try to get people that are interested. And Jimmie, it's not that like people think you can just pull people out of the hat. You can. It takes work, you know what I mean?
Yeah, people are busy.
Steve Soccer even said it once on a show I did with him. He goes, I don't know how you guys do it that do these shows, because he says, you guys, you're not making a lot of money. You get some sponsors. It's not buying you a new Mercedes, but you have so much passion to do it, and you just keep pushing. And you're right. I get times when people cancel on me, and then I'm like, God, now what do I do?
Yeah, and like we don't even. Myself and Andy, we don't even have sponsors. We just do it out of. We just do it. We don't no interest in anything like that. We just do it, and that's it. And even the times when I was down and I didn't turn up, I still got the guest. I might have been there, but I still got the guest. And then times when I couldn't do something, Andy'd get a guest. But like I get people. We do our best, and so and people have to realize that and say, like, your passion. I remember, like, if somebody says, "Oh, it's your passion," just because you get a little bit ill for a while or whatever doesn't mean your passion goes. Your passion will always, like, I run that Cigar Lovers Club, 50,000 flipping members in that group. You know what I mean? If so many other groups, and with the Bollywood, your passion doesn't die just because you might get a bit down in yourself, or you might things. Life throws something at you that you have to concentrate on. Or your passion doesn't go. You still are there to, you'll still be there. But the thing is, you need people to try and understand that you still have to deal with problems. You still have to do your job. You still have to do stuff, and and you have problems with you could have problems with family stuff, kids, boom, 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 boom. But your passion is always there. And I love cigars. But most of all, I love the people. And I love the people. And it hurts sometimes when people think, he doesn't get care because he's not honored, he's not that. And you hear little things through the grapevine, and it hurts you, because you're there. Like, if Mike Tyson came in the room, I wouldn't give a shite and went for me. I wouldn't care. I'd go for him. But if somebody says somebody doesn't give a shit, well, that hurts you more. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When you know yourself, you give a shit. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I get that. I've gotten that a few times from people, and I just whatever. Doesn't matter. Haters are going to be haters, and that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
So.
And see, people forget, like, when you get to our age, Jimmy, when we get to like 50, mid 50s, 60s, you're an old, as my granny always says, you're an old dog on the road. You've seen it all. You can read people. I know it. I'm very good. I judge people, but I have to judge people every day of my life. That's been I've always worked in environments that are confrontational, or boom, but are they good or bad? Protection. You have to judge people, so who's, the real people, and
the sincerity.
People like Lou Pistichelli is a real person.
He is.
Yeah. I love
good man. So let me. We're coming up on the half hour mark, on the hour and a half mark. Let me ask you this. Yeah, we've been doing this for an hour and a half. It just flows. My show just flows because I don't have a script. Yeah. I just listen to things and I kind of come up with questions as I go along. But here's something that I was.
Andy does all our questions. I try the odd one.
What is can you recite your favorite limerick? Can you recite your favorite limerick?
There was a grand old Duke of York. He had 1,000 men. If he had the energy, he'd have them all again. Don't get me started on jokes. Lou knows what I'm like. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
There was a girl called Mary Fox. She had 10,000 cocks, and I won't say it. I won't go on to the rest of that one, just in case the ladies listening. But Lou, you know me on the jokes.
Oh, I couldn't imagine hanging out in a pub with you. I would go home. My cheeks would be hurting. My ribs would be hurting from laughing so hard.
Yeah, I have
a good time.
Humor. I used to even on when I go into Cigar Fanatics, because when poor old Carl Moodisfeld was alive, and Carl loved the jokes, and when all this started, all the Zoom stuff started, and he really started the first one, really, the Cigar Cabin. But when I go on with him, and I'd annoy Pastor, and I'd say things like, because Pastor is Pastor, I'd say to him, gee, did you know that Jesus walked into the inn the other day, threw a few nails on the counter and says, can you put me up for the night? And Pastor would be going, sigh, I'll pray for you, sigh. It's just, look, but I always say, God knows we're only joking,
Yeah.
God knows it's a joke,
Of course, he made us. We are who we are. We're made in the image and likeness of him. Therefore, he's a joker too.
Yeah, he must have a sense of humor.
He's gotta have.
We wouldn't have jokes if he didn't have a sense of humor.
Look at the planet. He has to have a sense of humor. He created a dodo bird. Where did that go?
And he created Look at the Irish. But I always say that with Look at the Irish. Don't ever say to anybody, God, you got to look at the Irish, because historically speaking, the Look of the Irish was fucking terrible. Awful.
It was terrible.
It was really
bad. But you did create Guinness, so I got to give you that.
Yeah, Mr. Arthur Guinness. Yeah. I'll tell you a quick story, right? If you go 8 kilometers from here, or say whatever it is, 6 miles or 5 miles or something. There's a place called Selbridge, and I used to live in Selbridge, and there's 2 pubs. One is called the Mucky Duck, and one is called the Village Inn, and they're right next door to each other. Yeah, and there's a plaque on the wall of the Mucky Duck. Arthur Guinness was born here, 17 blah 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 blah, right? And a little thing of what he looked like. But then if you go to the next pub, it says Arthur Guinness was born here. Because he was born there, but because the pubs are joined together, he was born above the pubs, but nobody knows which room. So when you go there, you have to have a pint for him in one pub, and then you have to go into the next pub and have a pint for him in that pub.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah, I know that there was a pub. There was a pub in, I think it's in Peoria, Illinois, where I would frequent, and of all places, it's an Irish pub, and on the wall is the big glass case with the harp in it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And I looked at when I first walked into that pub, I'm saying to myself, not every bar gets that. You got to be selling a lot of product to get that. You might get the signs and all the other stuff, but to get this thing, I mean, it's a full blown harp, man. Just glass case, and then it's the whole history of all the photos, and where you go with that, the conflict in Ireland, all of that's all laid out there for you.
Exactly. Can I just take a 1 minute break, Jim?
Sure.
Yeah. Just have a look at that picture. That's outside the pub.
There you go.
There you go. That's cool. Arthur Guinness. Very cool.
How's everything, Lou, man? The lounge looks
great, man.
Really good now. I got the carpet down. My wife readjusted a little bit, but that whole area now is all lounge looking now. This desk is perfect where it belongs. Should have did this a long time ago.
Good.
But
hey, a couple of people were trying to get on, but they couldn't get on to the link onto your page
because they didn't friend me. Yeah. Well, we're going to change that. We're going to be changing that soon. As you know, some of the projects that I'm working on, what we'll be doing in the very near future is I'm going to be getting off Zoom on a different platform. And that platform, I'm going to be pushing this out to YouTube. So I'm going to just tell people, just subscribe to the YouTube channel. And all of this will be live on, not live. The Taking the Nub shows will be live on YouTube because it's easier to do it. Because of that problem, you got to be a friend. You got to, it's just
sure.
No,
and you only allow 5,000 friends, and I'm coming up on the limit, and I got to start trimming people off.
I saw you were really close to it.
So,
what time is it, Si?
Yeah, it's getting late for Si.
25 to 3 here.
Yeah,
2:35.
Hey, that's nothing for Si.
I know. But we are down. We're down. The viewership is obviously faded off here. Chris Colter says Middleton is even better than Guinness. I'm sorry. I've tried all different kinds. Guinness is my thing. All right. I just love a good Guinness. And you know what else I love from that factory? Middleton, right. Yeah, that's but what I love is I got introduced to this over in I was in England, and this Brit looks at me and he says, have you ever tried, and he said, this is exactly how he said it, have you ever tried Boddingtons? He had to make that expression. I'm like, I've never had Boddingtons. So I had a Boddingtons. And I was like, this is a pretty good little, simple ale. Creamy, nice creamy one.
Yeah, Boddington's bitter. That's what it
Yeah.
is. It's called
So
Boddington's bitter. Yeah, it's very popular. It's been popular in England for well years and years and years and years. So they call it bitter. There's different
I don't know
types of bitter.
why. I don't know why it's bitter.
Yeah, because it's smooth. Boddington's is smooth.
Yeah, it's
And
very smooth.
yeah, but it's probably one of the most popular ones in the UK.
Well, that's the thing. When I took the tour at the factory, the one thing that they, and I knew most of the history of Guinness, being a big Guinness guy, but one thing I learned there was that Guinness is technically an IPA because the amount of hops that they use. But it's how they roast the hops, right? That gives it that distinctive flavor, okay, as opposed to just hoppy. It's a big difference between like what we know as IPA, but that wasn't technically is an IPA, they said. Right.
And that's true.
All right,
That's true.
So we're down at the end here. I'm gonna say to you the last word, but before that, let me just say that tomorrow I'll be at the Great Smoke down at Smoke Inn in West Palm at the fairgrounds. So anybody that's going down there, I'll see you there. Always a fun event. And Si, I'll give you the last word.
No, I just want to say thanks, Jimmie, for putting up with me for the last whatever it was, and thank Lou for popping in because I from the heart, I've great time for Lou and he knows that himself. But I just want to say that, like, in this cigar community, we gotta just try and keep putting things forward, never lose our passion, and just be kind to each other, and try and stick together with stuff, like it's not a competition. The cigar world is not a competition. The Zooms aren't competitions. It's let the manufacturers worry about what they're selling, what they're not selling. Let them do that. But for people like us, let's enjoy our cigar, enjoy our friendships, because as Carlita Fuente always said, and it's about the people. And I think the people are most important. Male, female, it doesn't matter. We're all human
Without
beings.
the people, there's
This
no
thing brings
culture.
us together. Yeah.
No culture without the people.
There's not. And there's no money for anybody selling the cigars. But this is what brings us together, and it's wonderful. And I just want to say this: I smoked this good cigar for you tonight, and I just want to say to a man that above that is really, really good. Carl moved the spot. I'm thinking of you tonight for we're doing this show. Okay, that's all I gotta say.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And next week, I'm going to try to have a show. It depends on my grandson. I'm waiting to get the inputs for tomorrow. He's wrestling in his in regional tournament here in Florida, and if he places there, he goes to state, and that's going to be nearby me. So I'm going to be hanging out with him and the family for like 3 days in a state tournament of wrestling. This is a seventh grader wrestling in high school brackets.
Fantastic. Tell him the Irishman is rooting for him. Okay.
I will tell him the Irishman is rooting for him. Absolutely.
Yeah,
all right. So with that, this is today's show. I want to thank the sponsors and everybody for watching. We'll keep it rolling. And with that, we are